Hi everyone, welcome to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us for a special live show this Tuesday morning as we welcome developer Jason Fane into the studio. Jason, thanks for joining us today. Long time no see, just saw you at the Ordinance Committee last night at the Providence City Council where we heard from your team, supporters of your tower project, and opponents as well. So talk with us a little bit as we're here in October 2018, how you thought last night went for starters.
I thought it was a big success. We had a lot of top experts strongly endorse the project, and I think without intending to, a lot of the opponents did also. The local landlords who were worried about us as competition are basically saying that we will be providing what people want to live in.
And that's a question I wanted to ask you. It's been several years in the process now. You have some strong support in some circles and some strong opposition in others. But one of the questions pertains to those real estate developers and real estate in Providence in general. Have you been getting a sense of that pushback from existing real estate developers who have concerns, and talk a little bit more about how this tower would play into the landscape of Providence, specifically as it pertains to available units?
Actually, our effect on the competition will be a lot less than what they anticipate, because Providence has 180,000 people, and we'll have space for about 800 people, and that would be distributed across, well, all the competition. And the population of Providence is growing, partly due to the government's economic development programs and partly due to expansion of businesses and institutions that are already here. So there will actually be more than enough business for everybody. But to the extent that a particular landlord is having problems renting one of his apartments, I would advise him first, look at the apartment and fix whatever's wrong with it. And if that doesn't solve your problem, take down the rent to what it really should be. And if that still hasn't solved your problem, improve your marketing program.
So as we stand here in October of 18, did you anticipate the process taking this long here in Providence? You talked recently about how things went up in Toronto, but we're 2 years well into your proposal, now entering a third.
If I had known it would take this long, I wouldn't be here.
So we were at the Ordinance Committee last night, and it's continuing to go through the process. Now, there has to be a vote at the ordinance level. It has to go back to 195. It then would have to go back to the city council. So we're looking at a protracted process. As you said, with this taking so long, what's your hopes moving forward, again, seeing both the opposition and the support that you have in the community?
I believe the council will vote for the zoning change we're asking for because it's good for Providence.
And of course, some of the opposition that we heard from as well were in the shadow of the Superman building, and where 110 was supposed to be built in the vacant parking lot next door. You hear from folks all the time, why could you just not build this downtown?
I don't own that land. And nobody's offered to sell it to me. People who are not involved with it say, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? But I've never had somebody say, I own and offer it, or it's a broker, I've got a listing. It's just people expressing their opinion.
And also, there have been folks who have said, well, we like the fact that you want to come here, spend $300 million of your own money, but we just don't like the height. What do you say to those folks who want to believe that there's a negotiating point with the size of the tower?
There's no negotiating. There's a proposal before the city council. They can vote for it. They can vote against it. I'll respect their decision.
And tell us again, how did you come to this decision on that height level when you were thinking of just how big you wanted this tower to be?
I wanted something that would be taller than the other buildings in Providence, because that's what residents like. They like to be in the tallest building, or the best this or the best that. And that takes you into that general range. And if we went higher with that, it would involve much more expensive construction, and I wanted to avoid that because a lot of people in Providence are very concerned about prices and rents.
And speaking of those prices and rents, that's one of the sticking items of some of the opposition as well, saying we don't need this, we need affordable housing. Now, that's not your jurisdiction, but what do you hear when you hear folks say that when it comes up in these hearings?
Providence, like every place else, has many needs, and I'm proposing to be adding to the supply, but I can't do everything for everybody on every possible problem, and I don't try. So the question really is not whether I'm solving whatever some particular person's interested in, but do they like this proposal or do they not?
And have you talked with folks who have maybe come around on the project that said maybe initially they had some concerns, thought the height was too high, but then after hearing what you had to say, said maybe this does make sense?
I think when people see it, they'll want to live in the building.
And those folks who want to live in the building, we've heard from folks here that say, we like this, we might want to get a unit in there. Now, it's way too early because there have been no approvals at this point. But have you had those folks that are that enthused about it saying this is someplace they might think they would consider living?
We would like to give their name and their contact information and a specific request for what size apartment they would like in terms of number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, square footage, and number of parking spaces, and that'll be an important help in designing the building, knowing what size apartments to provide. And then we would contact them when we actually had a design.
Because it's too early. There are no purchase and sales agreements at this point. We want to make very clear. But if there is interest, contact Jason Fane. We just were at the ordinance committee last night. We just talked a little bit about next steps with the city. Anything else you want viewers and readers to know while you're here after last night, discussions you've had with members of the community, elected officials, as well as you continue to go through the process?
I find most of the people that I meet or make a point of meeting me are very enthusiastic about the project, and there's a few tiny pockets of dissent, mostly from 3 streets in Fox Point.
Well, we're going to continue to follow the progress, again, of your proposal on the 195 land. You can see the video last night of the Ordinance Committee hearing, and we'll provide you more information moving forward. But Jason Fane, I appreciate your taking the time to come in this morning after what was a long night.
Kate, my pleasure.
I appreciate it. We'll be back this afternoon here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center at 4 o'clock for News and Politics. We look forward to seeing